Hey, welcome back to Evil's Comics. I'm Evil Mike, and I got a review for you. This one's going to be one of my digital reviews. I don't have the physical copy, but I have read the issue. I have it here on my phone just for reference, writers and stuff like that, names, which I'm extremely bad with. But I got asked by numerous different people to review, read and review this comic for y'all. So here we go. This is Batman 89 from DC, issue number 3. It is written by Sam Hamm. We got artist and cover done by Joe Quinones, if you got cover A. And then colorist is Leonardo Ito. And letters is Clayton Cowles. Okay, so Batman 89, issue number 3, picks up directly where the last issue left off. With kind of a catch. At the last episode, in the last issue, our new Drake, I think he is the, he's supposed to be the current Robin. Or he's calling himself Robin. He's not really, he's not Batman's Robin yet. But he was on top of this building. He sees some guys, kind of like in this alleyway. They were dressed like Batman, and basically they threw some Molotov cocktails into this mechanic shop that Drake works at, and a couple of the other people meet there. We did see that Billy D. Williams was frequenting there, talking with the community kind of stuff, and that's kind of what it looks like, right? Because Harvey Dent is the DA and everything. So the book kind of starts out, and it's basically Billy D. I keep saying Billy D. Williams, right? But Harvey Dent, and he basically has Robin. He is carrying him out to safety. The building is on fire and everything. But as the story, it shows him coming out of the building. So he ran in there, grabbed Robin, and then ran out. And then basically after that, they kind of go into this whole where Harvey Dent is this hero. He's all focused on the newspapers. The community that he's trying to support is all behind him now, because he kind of showed that hero stride. And then the book kind of pulls a second punch on you because none of this happened. It's Harvey Dent. He's on the ground. He inhaled too many, there was sulfuric acid that's in the air due to the bombing because it was a mechanic shop and stuff like that with the tire and the rubbers. Also different chemicals in the mechanic shop. But he unfortunately is in front of the mechanic shop, and half of his face is burning, thus creating Two-Face that we know and love, right? So all this is kind of like a dream thing, and he kind of gets woken up by it, talking to the first iteration of Two-Face, and he doesn't recognize it at first. They kind of jump us back into the real world really quick, and we see that Bruce Wayne and a couple other people are the ones that pull Harvey Dent out of the fire after he inhales the smoke and kind of collapses. Drake does end up getting, I think Drake was one of the people that end up saving Harvey Dent's character. And then for most of the comic book, for a little bit, it's dealing with Harvey Dent's, them rushing him to the hospital. They don't even think he's going to survive because he's inhaled so much sulfuric acid, and they do name it quite a bit. They do show that, and we saw in the last issue, of course, Catwoman is running around. And she does show up on the rooftops. Well, while this is all going down and they're trying to get Harvey Dent into the ambulance and make sure he, is safe and on his way to the hospital, the police start, investigating the people that were around, of course, asking Bruce Wayne why he's even in that part of town, because it is a, more, minority part of Gotham. As they're investigating him, they're trying to figure out, because they did find the two criminals that did burn the building down, and they found him in the alley where Catwoman left him, because she was the one that beat him up and left him there. And they start questioning Bruce about that, and then Bruce at the moment just kind of does this thing where he doesn't want to, he doesn't want to comment or give a statement, and he does the same for the press as well. As this is going on, they do show where Catwoman is, and she's still on the rooftop, and they show her running off with Batman kind of looking at her like, hey. we do get to see some of the first iterations of Two-Face, this version of Two-Face, and I love it. Like, especially in this comic, the first time they show him, I mean, first off, he's burning on the ground like this, and he, like, after he's being pulled and saved, he literally kind of like wakes up for a moment and starts walking towards everybody, and he tries talking to everybody. While this is happening, his face is doing that whole disfigurement, and he hasn't realized that half his face is messed up. It's a wonderful moment, but there's also other panels during the rest of the book where Harvey is in the ambulance on the way to the hospital, and he wakes up, and you can see, they show from one side of the ambulance his regular Harvey Dent face, and they show from the other side his new Two-Face. But basically on that point, they go into like the whole other side of the news, because he is a DA, and how much people are like reaching out for him, this and that. We do catch up with like Bruce Wayne, and he's trying to piece together stuff, so he ends up going home, and they kind of like, I mean, he gets woken up by incidentally Catwoman's cat, and he has this like brief little conversation with Alfred about like what he's going to do towards Catwoman and now Harvey Dent and this and that, what he's going to do to the press. After, I want to say a little bit of that, it gets to, finally Harvey Dent waking up in the hospital, and Barbara being his girlfriend in this continuity, Barbara Gordon. They have this back and forth conversation, and while they're having the conversation, Two-Face is already coming alive, because Harvey Dent keeps answering with the one side and the other side, and every time he answers with the other side, of course, it's negative, derogatory, that kind of thing. And she's not really picking up on it. She really thinks it's like side effects from the medicine and this and that, or the trauma that he's dealt with. And she kind of like every time he does it, he kind of nonchalant, she pushes it away kind of thing. Or she just kind of words around his way of wording stuff. Eventually, he does ask for the coin, and in this story, supposedly the coin has, it has something to do with their ties and dating. It has meaning to their relationship. And he does ask for the coin, and she even states like, because it's important to both of them, and she even states like how she kept it, safe and sound while he was going through this. And as soon as she hands him the coin, he literally flips it over and asks for a nail file, and he starts to scratch in the famous dent that's on the back of the coin. And he also states that before it didn't have any power, and now with him doing that, he added that the yin and yang side of it kind of thing. And from that point on, he's just a flippity floppity with the coin, like we all know and love. Alright, so they do get with the scene where Batman does find a clue in his house from Catwoman to meet him at this location that's from Batman Returns. Once you see the clue and it's written on a notepad, you'll instantly recognize it from a location that's in Batman Returns, the movie. And Batman shows up to meet Catwoman, Catwoman being surprised, I don't know why, that he was able to decipher the clue. And as soon as they do meet up, it's kind of this make-out fest. The Catwoman and Batwoman have always been drawn to each other, or Batman and Catwoman, but they have always been drawn to each other. And it does start out that way, but eventually during the conversation, because she has done some criminal things, and he does have that morality code on the justice side. Eventually he does, tell her, well, you better, he kind of starts mentioning things about like, you have to stop doing this, or you're going to go to jail, and I'll be the one taking you down, kind of thing. Eventually she just gets mad and kind of leaves, stating that she really does like him, but that's not going to work out. And there is this funny thing when she mentions that she's kind of figured him out a little more after what he said, because she mentions that she goes to psychological therapy sessions. And in those sessions, she does talk about Batman, and Batman kind of gets taken aback from it. He's like, "What? You talk to me in your sessions and stuff?" And she explains that I do, and she hasn't. I don't think she mentions that she revealed that he's Bruce Wayne, that kind of thing. But she does mention that she has this relationship with Batman. What does it mean? Yada yada yada, and Batman's all like, you can't do that, she'll run and tell somebody, And Catwoman's like, no, don't get worried, supposedly, and like thousands of other people claim to sleep with Batman and have relationships with him, and he's like, really? And he just, I guess, never thought of that or something like that. Um, Eventually, like, it flips back over to Harvey Dent, and it's basically he's seeing a news report of, possibly leading to the criminals that started the fire in the first place, and it kind of just shows him flipping his coin and talking about justice, and that's where the issue leaves off. Okay, so like, did I like it? Of course, man. It's so far it's actually wonderfully done, where it's fitting into the Batman '89 like mythos. They're doing kind of an excellent job. Like I could literally have seen, I mean, this could have been Batman 3 so far, and I mean, it's not so far-fetched. I do know for a fact, being a Batman fan, that they did have this version of Batman 3, all scripted out and mostly screenplayed and that kind of thing. I think it was more along the lines of, Tim Burton stepping out of the project was, kind of, I want to assume, I remember it was some kind of debacle on why they didn't go this route for Batman 3, because I lived through all this, But art-wise and everything, I mean, in this one, there was like one kind of weird-looking panel where they drew Batman in a specific kind of way. But overall, the rest of the art, yes, especially the Two-Face scenes. I love the way they have Billy Diaz as Two-Face in this, and the way they draw him, it looks authentic and real, not something that's like a hoax or a cash grab. I mean, which is kind of nice, especially with the title of this book. It could totally be a cash grab. But no, honestly, it's a good read. It's been really good art. The flow of the story's been nice. I'm surprised they got to, Harvey Dent and Two-Face this quick, and the reiteration of Catwoman. I'm really enjoying it. So, I mean, if you have not jumped on this tale, and if you have a way to read this comic or pick it up, I highly suggest it. So, as a Batman fan, it has been really good. But that's my review. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I will see y'all soon. I got more coming.